Today's workout is a 15-minute Newly Postpartum Workout. This workout is safe, effective, and gentle for anyone who has recently had a baby and who has also been cleared to exercise by their doctor. We're going to start with gentle exercises that will help you heal and recover from both a vaginal birth and a C-section birth. Let's get started. Hey mamas, welcome to today's workout. We are going to do a short, simple workout for my newly postpartum mamas today, and it's specifically designed for those of you who have just had a baby, and that can be a few weeks to a few months ago. Just make sure you're cleared by your doctor to exercise. We are going to get started with some simple movements to help stimulate recovery and help your body get strong after a baby. So let's start with our first exercise, and we're going to warm up as we move throughout the workout. So feet underneath your hips, arms across your chest. We're going to do what's called a good morning. So push your hips back, come down with a flat back, stand up, squeeze your glutes just a little bit, and then repeat. So we're hinging at the hips, keeping those knees soft, but we're not bending at the knees. We're pushing the hips back, keeping that chest lifted, shoulders back and down, a little squeeze between your shoulder blades. You can move nice and slow through this one. If you're comfortable with this movement, you might be able to go faster, but I don't want you to focus on how many reps you're getting or the speed. I want you to focus rather on quality of movement. So that weight is in your heels, you're feeling that nice stretch through the hamstrings. Again, we're squeezing the glutes at the top, but we're not thrusting the hips. We're stopping here rather than here. That's gonna keep that work in the back of your body and promote recovery mobility. That's our goal today. One more and then we'll take a quick break, 10 seconds. We're gonna transition to our next movement. We're gonna do a squat to a reach to the floor. So take your feet a little wider than your hips, good posture, abs are braced, and your hands are gonna reach toward the floor as we push the hips back and knees out. So take a nice deep breath, draw your belly button in toward your spine so your core is engaged, and let's begin. So sitting back into the hips, reaching for the floor. Now, if it's too intense for you to reach that low, just come up a little higher with your hips, or just don't drop your arms. You can always keep them across your chest, but I don't want them on your legs. The most important thing here is your posture. So your chest is lifted, your shoulders are back and down, that core is braced, belly button to spine. And if you start to round at your back, I want you to just stay up a little higher in that squat. Same thing with your feet. Your knees should be pressing out in line with your toes. If they start to buckle in front of your toes, that's how you know you don't have the mobility to do that squat quite as low. So lots of modifications for this one, but again, just take it nice and easy, slow and steady, especially if this is your first workout postpartum. You want to ease into it. Don't try to do too much too quickly. Let's take another break, 20 seconds. We're going to move to a lateral lunge. So make sure you have space on either side of you. We're going to alternate stepping right to left. So we're gonna extend those arms again, and we're gonna take a big step out, nice and slow, sitting back into the hips. So good posture, belly button to spine, and let's reach to the right, sitting back into that right hip, right knee pushes out forward over that ankle, and switch, left. So you can see here as I step out, I'm not rotating my feet. My feet are pointed straight ahead. My chest is up, I'm pushing my butt back, just like in that squat, good posture. You're gonna hinge forward a little bit at your hips, but I don't want you, again, rounding your shoulders. Keep that chest lifted. And weight in your heels here, pushing that hip back so you really feel that glute activate. You should also feel a really nice stretch through that inner thigh. Now, same thing here. If you can't quite reach as low as I'm reaching, you could keep your arms up higher. Take it as gentle as you want here. I am newly postpartum, but this is not my first workout postpartum. I couldn't film that one. But do what you can based on where you are at physically. That's the goal here. Okay, back of your mat, we're gonna do an inchworm to a bear plank. So we're gonna crawl forward onto your hands and come down onto hands and knees, but we're gonna keep those knees off the floor if you can. I'll show you a modification as well. So shoulders back and down, brace that core, crawl forward, knees go toward the floor, shoulders over wrists, stop those knees right above the floor if you can. Crawl right back, heels go down, chest up, come back into that squat, stand up. Let's do that again. So sit your hips back first. You see what I'm doing? Squat, then crawl, hands and knees, hands over shoulders, knees barely above the floor, but if you need to, put them down. Crawl back through that squat, heels down, chest up, squat, repeat. Okay, now we're gonna move a little quicker if you can, if you feel comfortable with this movement. Pick up the pace a little bit. bracing the core in that bear plank. It's a really good movement for the core, and any sort of crawling movement is gonna help with that mobility, which is so important postpartum. Rest. Okay, we are gonna move to the hands and knees for a bird dog. So we call this our quadruped position. You're on all fours. Hands are under your shoulders, knees are under your hips. Press your shoulders away from your ears, pull your belly button in toward your spine. We're going to do just the arms in that bird dog. So front arm, we're gonna extend it, thumb up to shoulder level, place it down, repeat, other side, thumb up, place it down. Now, pay attention to what's moving here. I want you to try to move only the arm. So as you lift, what's gonna have to happen? Push your opposite hand into the mat, brace your core really tight, relax your shoulders, push your knees into the ground. This is an excellent core stability exercise. It's super simple, but you can tell right away it's tough to do if you're doing it properly. Now, a lot of times people have the tendency to push back into their hips. That takes that work out of the shoulders and core. So I want you to keep it forward. If it's too intense, give me a little reach forward on the floor. But if you can, give me that full reach to the shoulder level. You can always take more breaks too if this interval is too long for you. Rest. Okay, now you can push your hips back. We're gonna do that same movement, a bird dog, but just the legs. So we're gonna come back to that quadruped position. Again, core strength, core engagement is so important in these movements, and we wanna focus on that. So shift back into that quadruped position. We're gonna start with that front leg, taking it extended to hip level. Place it back down, opposite leg, extend to hip level. So just like we did with the arms, we're gonna stabilize everything else, so only the leg moves. You can flex or point your foot, whatever feels more comfortable here, but I want it about hip level, not higher, because we wanna keep that work in the glute and hamstring primarily. And again, pulling the belly button in toward your spine. And I say that in a lot of my videos because that is gonna help you engage your deep core muscles, your transverse abdominis, your pelvic floor. And then give that glute a little squeeze at the top. Keeping those shoulders away from your ears, hands pressing evenly to the floor. And you want to feel controlled right here, like you're really stable, because you should be. Let's do one more, even it out, and we rest. 20 seconds, shift back if you need to. We're gonna come back into that quadruped position, but we're gonna lean forward, putting a little more pressure on your core. So two options, you can stay here, or bring your body forward slightly. So that means you walk your knees back, shoulders are over your wrists. We're gonna tap the opposite shoulder. So you can see my shoulders are over your wrists, and that applies to both the advanced and the modified version. If you want, you can bring those knees in. That'll alleviate a little bit of pressure from those arms in your core. So again, it's not about doing the advanced variation of the exercise all the time. It's about doing what you can do well, and that's gonna bring you results here. So just like we did with that bird dog with the arms, we wanna stabilize everything else, so just the arm is moving, right? We press evenly through those knees and the hand on the floor, bracing that core nice and tight, moving with control. Again, you don't have to count the reps, it's only about quality of movement here. Last one. And we rest 20 seconds. Okay, we're gonna move to our back now. So carefully come down, lying on your back, feet close to your hips. We're gonna go to a glute bridge. So weight is in your heels. I want you to pull your belly button in toward your spine like you're zipping up your abs so you engage the deep core and your pelvic floor. Lift your hips up toward the ceiling and then lightly tap back down on the floor. Let's repeat, up and down. Again, move at your own pace here. I want you to dig your heels into the floor. I want you to squeeze your glutes, fire up those hamstrings. And with the glute bridge, you want to feel it in the back of your legs, your hips, your glutes, your hamstrings. If you start feeling it more at the tops of your legs, that might mean you're thrusting a little bit too high. Lower your hips a little bit so you feel it more at the back. And with every rep, you're contracting those abs at the top, pulling that belly button toward your spine so you feel nice and controlled, like you got Spanx on. Couple more. And we rest. Okay, we're gonna move on to a marching glute bridge. So we're gonna keep the hips up in the bridge this time, and we're gonna alternate lifting one leg at a time. So this exercise is a little more advanced. We're gonna add some stability work. So if you need to, I'll show you a few modifications, or you can just stay with that original regular glute bridge, okay? Hips lift, one leg comes up, place it back down, switch. Knee comes over the hip and down. Over the hip and down. Drive down through your heel that's on the floor. Again, creating that stability from your core. It's gonna really make it work harder. A lot of these movements are core focused, even though maybe you won't feel them in your abs, you're actively engaging your core and your pelvic floor throughout. Almost there. And if you need to, you can do just one leg and then tap the hips to give a little rest in between. But if you can, keep those hips up the whole time. And rest. All right, we're gonna move on to a heel slide. So, best to do this one barefoot, or if you're on a wood or a tile floor, you can have socks and that works too. We're gonna draw that belly button in toward your spine, and then we are going to alternate extending the legs, pushing the heel out toward the floor, and sliding that heel. So slide it out. And I want you to focus on that drag in. So you're gonna catch the floor a little bit, drag it in, pull that belly button in, zip up that core, other side. So we extend out, drag it in. Keep going, push it out, drag in. Feel that drag, zip, zip, zip. And again, on the hard parts of these exercises, I find it helpful to breathe out. So for me, I'm breathing in and breathing out as I zip up my core, and that's gonna help me keep those muscles firing, keep them engaged. This one should be, again, really simple, not overly exertive, but you're going to really strengthen those deep core muscles that support the superficial outer ones. Okay, rest. We are gonna move on to a side forearm plank with a little hip dip. So come onto your forearm, your elbow should be at 90 degrees, so right under your shoulder. Bottom leg is gonna bend here, knee faces forward, and then that top leg extends. We're gonna reach the arm up if you can, and then lower to the floor, lightly tap the hip, repeat, lift, and lower, that's right. So, make sure your shoulder stays away from your ear. You're pushing through your forearm actively. You're zipping up your core, pushing through your bottom hip to lift. If it helps, you can place this hand down and lift like this, or just give me a side plank and hold it. You don't have to do the hip dip if that is too much today. But you should feel like you're in control here. Like with most of the movements today, we're moving slow with intention. So you never feel like you're just falling to the floor in this one, right? You're controlling the movement from your core. And this one, we're working those hips, the shoulder. It's really a full body exercise. Let's do one more. And we're gonna move to the other side. This will be our last one. So same thing, arm at 90 degrees, bottom leg is bent, the top leg is extended. And if you can reach that top arm to the ceiling. I feel like it helps me lift a little bit higher if I do that. So nice and stable, zip up that core, and let's go lift and lightly tap those hips. That's again another indicator that you can control it. If you're lightly tapping your hip, you're not just heavy falling down. You're keeping everything controlled. And these exercises that I'm showing you right now are a part of my postpartum ab program and my C-section repair program. So check those out under my playlists if you're wanting to focus on strengthening your core post-baby and healing any core dysfunction, including C-section, shelf, diastasis recti, pelvic floor issues. Those programs are really gonna help take it up a notch. So I really recommend doing those in addition to workouts like this. Give me 2 more and then we'll be done with today's workout. Last one. And we finished. Great work, you guys. That was your newly postpartum workout for my mamas who have had a baby recently. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think in the comments and what workouts you would like to see next. And I will see you back here for our next workout together.